in order to take total control of a constitutional republic like the United States has, you really have to control the executive, legislative, and judicial branches. Now, that happens from time to time in our system, but we have safeguards that keep it from happening forever. Usually it only happens for 2 to 4 years, and then things kind of reset themselves. But the Democrats now have hatched a 5-step plan to completely take control of all 3 branches in perpetuity. At no point will we ever be able to put another party into office if they fulfill their plan, which I'm thinking right now that it's going to be hard to stop them. What I mean by that is the 5-step plan that I've created that I think that they're going with is step 1, use a crisis to gain power. And we've discussed that in the past. COVID was the crisis that they used to change all the voting laws, literally break laws in a lot of cases, and basically just make it so that the election couldn't really be won by Donald Trump, even if he were to get the most votes of any sitting president in history, which he did. The second step to that is to basically use the control of the presidency and the House and the Senate. So basically, the 2 of the 3 pillars of our country, basically gain control of them, which they were able to do, and then use those to get rid of the filibuster, because the filibuster acts as a way of the minority voice still being heard, even if they're not in control. You have to get rid of that altogether so that there can be no interference in your grand plan. And that's what they're up to at the moment. We'll discuss that too. Step 3 would be to pass a complete overhaul of the whole voting system and federalize it. Again, we'll get to that. That's also in the works. The 4th step would be to basically rig the voting system forever, not through laws. That's going to be discussed. That was obviously the 3rd step, but this 4th step is more based on making it so you're not just winning the presidential election in perpetuity. You're winning all of them. You're winning the House, the Senate, and the presidency. That's how you at that point you can move on to step 5, which is pack the Supreme Court. Once you do that, you have control of the presidency forever. You have control of the House forever. You have control of the Senate forever. You have no filibuster to stop anything. Now you can start, you put in your own judges, and then forever, you just keep putting your own judges in there. And at that point, we don't have checks and balances anymore. We have what I would call a party fascism, basically. We don't have one figurehead that is the dictator. It's an entire party. So the entire left of this country would be the dictators. So I'll go through all of them very quick and explain exactly how this has happened. So first one, using a crisis to take control. Obviously, the Democrats, what they did was they used COVID. So what they did was they got on board with the COVID thing, decided to create panic, made everybody, sit at home, lock down, social distance, wear masks, all this stuff. And then they told you, you know what? We actually got to change all the voting laws and voting rules because, even though it's not constitutional, it's not safe for you to go out and vote. That's what they did. And so we all bought it. We were like, yeah, no, that's exactly right. You're looking out for us. Well, what ended up happening? They end up getting more votes than any president in history. Joe Biden, a man who has run for president 3 times, failed twice, got more votes. He's the most popular president in the history of this country. Now ask yourself why that is. It's because they changed the rules. That's the only reason. Then what ends up happening is we move on to the taking control of all the parties so that we can get rid of the filibuster. So what ended up happening was They used groups like the Washington Post, CNN, MSNBC, had them run stories that were completely fabricated about, fake phone calls of Donald Trump's to the Georgia, head of elections and stuff like that. And what it ended up doing is it got Warnock and Ossoff into the Senate. So now they evened the Senate 50-50, the tiebreaker being Kamala Harris, okay? So that was step 2, get control of the House and the Senate and the presidency, because now we can work on the filibuster. The filibuster, as I said, is the only thing that gives the minority party a voice in this country. Now that they have those things, they're going to try to go and attack the filibuster. They need a 51, so 50 votes from the Democrats, which they'll get. Well, possibly. Let's hold up on that. They need 50 of their senators, and obviously all 50 Republicans are going to vote against it. If that were the case, then Kamala Harris becomes a tiebreaker. Filibuster's gone. They can pass whatever they want. They don't have to have any more 60-vote thresholds. Here's the thing. There is a little bit of hope, a glimmer, and that's that Joe Manchin, the senator from West Virginia, and Kyrsten Sinema, the senator from Arizona, have said they don't support getting rid of the filibuster. Now, both, especially Manchin, are on the fence, or they're teetering all over the place. And I'm telling you right now, what they're going to end up doing, what the Democrats will do, is they're going to use the Atlanta shootings and the Boulder shootings to convince those two people, or try to convince those two people, that they have to get rid of the filibuster, or else the Republicans aren't going to let them do gun reform. At that point, they'll use that to what they gain from getting rid of the filibuster to go and attack all the next thing that I'm going to talk about. So the next thing is passing voter changes to the entire voting system, making it all federalized. Well, how they're going to do that is H.R. 1. I've explained this many times to you guys in the past. H.R. 1 is the For the People Act. It's a load of shit. It's not for the people. It's to basically give an incredible amount of power to the Democrat Party through the voting system. What it does is it allows for 16-year-olds to start voting. It makes it so that it's mail-in ballot, no excuse. You don't have no ID registration, verification. No felons can vote. We have the voter rolls can't be purged. So if you've moved, you'll still get a ballot to both your new address and your old address. We're not going to verify. You're basically, anyone who's on the voter rolls gets a ballot sent out no matter what. So basically, it makes it so the entire system will just be nonstop fraud, is basically what it is. It's just going to be insane amounts of fraud and no way to prove it. And even if you could prove it, it basically puts in stipulations to where it doesn't matter. Fraud is basically encouraged. You can do ballot harvesting, which is fraud. You can have third parties mail in the ballots for you or drive them to the locations, which is also fraud. So all that stuff becomes legal, and that only happens by getting rid of the filibuster. Fourth thing is to ensure that you not just keep the presidency forever, which is what H.R. 1 would do, but make sure that you also control the House and the Senate in perpetuity. How they're going to do that is they're going to make D.C. a state, and they're going to make Puerto Rico a state. At that point, they get Congress people for both those areas, and both of those are heavily Democrat. So they'll gain 4 to 5 of each in just that, and that they'll never again lose either the House or the Senate. So we will have a Democrat president, a Democrat House, and a Democrat Senate forever. Okay. Now, the last thing that they got to do, there's 3 pillars to our site: executive branch, legislative branch, and judicial. They have the executive. They have a plan for that. They have a plan already for the legislative. They need the judicial. So what they'll do for the judicial is exactly what Joe Biden would not answer in the debates. They'll pack the courts immediately after getting rid of that filibuster. They will put as many judges as necessary to take control of our Supreme Court. And at that point, since they will have the presidency, they'll have the House, they'll have the Senate, and they'll have the judiciary at that point, they'll never let go of it again. They will have all three pillars of this country forever. At that point, folks, we have, like I said, what I call a group fascism, or a group authoritarianism, group dictatorship, whatever you want to call it. That's what we would now have. We would have a country that is no longer a constitutional republic, because we wouldn't be following anything in our Constitution at that point. And we'd be dictated to by one group of people with the exact same ideology. Basically, we'd be a, whatever kind of country you want to call it. Communist, dictator, whatever. All the same. So if you want to stop that, then it's time to wake up. That's what I'm always telling you guys. It's time to wake up. Once that you do, you'll be able to fight back. But I'm telling you right now, if you let this stuff go through without fighting, they're going to do all that stuff. They're also going to come for your guns. That's what they're going to use the Boulder and the Atlanta situations for, is to also take all of your guns. You won't have the ability to fight back. So we will become another North Korea or another China, Nazi Germany, all that stuff, where we have no ability to fight back against the government, and we'll just have to take it. So again, it's time to wake up and, move on.